Greetings, beautiful souls. Greetings. Welcome to the Divine Frequency Podcast. I'm your host, Amira. This is episode number 7, guys. Like, wow, we're getting into it, right? Today, I have a special guest coming on. Her name is Briare Jones, the most precious, beautiful soul, right? Okay, you'll get a chance to meet her. Briare does some. I'm impressed by her, but I would much rather say I'm impacted by her. She is doing some soul work out here, helping people to transform from a state of burnout. She works with the HALT method. I'll let her speak to you in regards to that. But before she comes on, I pray everyone is having a wonderful day today. I know it's a holiday weekend, but I do not celebrate holidays, okay? FYI, so I just treat it like a regular day. No, okay, wait a minute. Let me clear that up. Mother's Day, Father's Day, and New Year's. I acknowledge New Year's because I mentioned this before. It's like the energy is of a new year, but technically the new year doesn't start until Aries season kicks off, right? So that's in March when spring comes in, right? So with that being said, I do acknowledge January 1st to be the start of a new year, okay? But I pray y'all enjoy y'all time. Weekend, a lot of people have extended weekends, okay, because of the holiday. And that was always a treat to be able to partake in a day off, okay? But let me get started with what is the Divine Frequency Podcast, okay? It is a safe space. I always like to start with that because I want the Divine Frequency Podcast to be a place where people can come and be themselves. I want to be able to hold space for any soul that comes on a podcast to share, to be transparent, and to not be judged, criticized, or made to feel uncomfortable, okay? That's not this type of place, okay? It's a place full of love and light, okay? Google defines a safe space as a place set apart and treated with reverence, often because it's believed to be holy or connected to a higher power. It can be a physical location, like a church or a temple, or a more abstract space, such as a state of mind, okay? Or a moment in time, okay? Essentially, it's a place where one feels a sense of connection to something greater than themselves, whether that's a deity, a community, or a profound personal experience. My vision for the Divine Frequency Podcast is to help raise the conscious awareness of the collective in the areas of recognizing I am that I am, right? Or what I like to call I amness, okay? It's like a state of knowing that you are I am that I am, okay? Self-love, self-care, healing, yoga, meditation, fasting, detoxes, cleanses, breath work, sound healing. We're talking about food consumption, our natural innate gifts, talents, and abilities, our purpose, our call, our life's work. They kind of all mean the same thing. We're going to talk about superpowers. I believe gratitude is a superpower because it has the power to transform circumstances. We're going to talk about our bodies as a living temple, okay? Thank you, Holy Spirit. I didn't have living temple in that, but I'm going to include, let me put that in now before I forget. Living temple. Affirmations, positive thinking, overcoming obstacles, and creativity. One of my favorite things, okay? So that's what you can expect when you tune into the Divine Frequency Podcast. Those are some of the things that at any given time we may begin to discuss. I believe it's important that we begin to come out of a way of thinking that we've been programmed to think, right? Where we don't know the options that's in front of us in regards to healing, in regards to the peace that can be gained through things like meditation, restoration, and rest for your soul, all right? Visualization, which can be included into things like manifesting. Like we're all manifesting. We're always manifesting, okay? All the time. Because that's what we are. We're manifestors, right? Our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, and our attention, just because we are God's, little g, not big G, those are our creative forces, right? So with that being said, I want to be a tool that can help raise the conscious awareness of us all as I continue to learn that we can consciously create, we can consciously manifest, and not so much on just a, how we just do, we manifest anyway, okay? But I'm saying to purposely and intentionally be able to bring the things that we desire into this 3D reality, okay? So I would like to be a tool that can be used to help implement things like that and to help people to understand that we are temples, guys. Like, I think once we really grasp that understanding, which I'm still wrapping my mind around that, because that idea alone is truly life-changing when you realize that your body houses the spirit of the Most High God. You begin to move different. You begin to do things different, okay? And most importantly, it's like you begin to treat your body different. You begin to try to consume things that are more so in alignment with your well-being so you can have longevity. And it's one thing to have longevity and be sickly and a burden on other people health-wise, which I'm not trying to sound insensitive to anyone who may be ill in or sick in their bodies, but we have the power to change those dynamics for ourselves. We can make a decision right now today to do something different in regards to how we treat our living temples, okay? Once we come into the awareness of that, as I aforementioned, it's like you literally begin to make different decisions in regards to your health and wellness. You might not make changes overnight, all the necessary changes that need to be made. And I think it just feels better to take baby steps in regards to changing things like that anyway, because from my personal experience, it's like you really do get more acclimated with the new lifestyle or the new way of thinking, being, doing, seeing, and you don't overload yourself with, oh, I got to do this, I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And if you fall down, okay, you fell down. You get back up and you do it again. You try it again. Well, it's 5 o'clock, guys. So I'm going to bring Briare in, okay? Give me one moment. All right. This is going to be such an awesome conversation. I'm excited, actually. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna just be patient. I have have at least one viewer, but it's not even showing that I have one viewer. Let me see. Okay. Hmm. Okay.
Hi, how are you doing? Okay.
Greetings.
Greetings. How are you?
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? Can you hear me?
I'm, I'm wonderful. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah, but vaguely. Well, to everyone, I was doing a recording. Sometimes I gotta laugh at myself. I was doing a recording this past week where I was making some pumpkin spice, the most delicious pancakes ever, right? And my phone fell into my pancake. And the speaker is right above the camera, and that speaker I think got butter inside of it. And I tried to clean it out with some alcohol, but I don't think it did it right. So next up will probably be to go to Apple and see what they can do. Hopefully they can
Mm.
help me. But we're going to make it work. We're going to continue on as business as usual. Thank you for joining me today, Briare, at the Divine Frequency Podcast. We are so blessed and just I'm grateful to have you here. You say you're doing wonderful. How's Journey?
He's doing good. He's growing. Three teeth coming in.
Ooh, yay for
Yeah.
Journey. How's that going for you?
He's want to be close, so we're
Yeah,
doing all the cuddles, but it's going good.
that's good. That's good. Um, I would like to let everyone know how we met. So I met Briere. Glory to God. I'm getting chill bumps. I don't know. This just seems so surreal to me. But I met her at what's called the Mic Drop Boot Camp with Jess Eskram. If anyone is familiar with her, she's an international keynote speaker. She has a lot going on. I'm not even about to get into her too much, but Briere was in the same boot camp that I was in. For it was a 5-day boot camp where we learn the fundamentals of becoming a keynote speaker, which we are both fresh and new into that industry, and we're excited for that. So Briere will always be in the comment section commenting on people's posts, which we were encouraged to do daily, offering feedback, just a beautiful soul. And then one day she asked if we could connect, and I was like, oh, wow, yeah. And then Spirit dropped it on my heart to ask her if she would be a guest on my podcast. And I asked her and she said yes. So that's how we met. Now, Briere, is this a busy weekend for you? By being a holiday weekend?
No, I've
It's
been
been pretty
chilling.
laid back for you? Okay,
Yeah.
good, good. So I would like to know, where did you grow up? Like, where are you from? Where did you grow up? How was life for little Briere growing up back in the day?
So I grew up in Portsmouth, Virginia, actually, in my hometown. And I'm the oldest out of seven, but growing up, it was just three of us in the house. And then, yeah, I was big sister, so I did a lot of big sister things. I was really into music and writing, and so I did a lot of journaling and songwriting. Eventually, I picked up guitar when I was about 14, and yeah, I've just been making music, writing. Then fast forward, I graduated high school in 2019, and then I went to Bible college for a year where I focused on, I went for worship leading or to be a worship leader. So I did a lot more music things there as well, and that was super fun. I got to perform, work with like coaches, music coaches and stuff like that. That was exciting. And then 2020 pandemic hit, went back home, and then we moved to Connecticut because my stepdad's in the Coast Guard. And yeah, I took a step back from music for a little while, but I was working. I got into childcare, and then I had a car accident, so that what took me out of the work industry and was more like at home and just like focusing on my health and like recovering from the accident. And then fast forward to 2024, became first time mom. And now we're here.
Wow. I don't really want to put age into the equation, but you're just, you've got a lot. You've experienced a lot in such a short.
Most definitely have.
I'll put it like that. You've experienced a lot in a short period of time that you've been here on this planet, and that is what impresses me so much with you. Um, you went to Bible college, excuse me. Did you finish and get like your degree?
No, I didn't finish. I went for the first year at ASOM actually in Atlanta. And it was just a lot to keep up financially because I wasn't working at the time. So, and I was doing jobs through the school to help pay off the tuition. And I just didn't feel like dealing with the financial aspect of it. So I just decided to go a different route.
Okay. Um, Now let's get into your call in life, your purpose. Um, okay, I believe that our purpose can be multifaceted. We don't just have like one purpose. Like you're a mom, you're a wife. Those are purposes as well.
Mm.
I'm just saying, like, as far as your call in life, as far as serving others, when I'm speaking of purpose, how did you come to the realization that you wanted to how did that begin? Because I don't see you probably saying like, oh, I want to be a speaker or I want to be a sacred self-care guide or emotional wellness mentor. How did you get into, which I see these as being, this is being your purpose in life. You're serving others through this. How did
Yeah.
you understand or come to the understanding that this was the path that you were to go on? Or how were you called into it? As you know, a lot of Christians would say, when you're called into like the ministry, and this is ministry. So how did that come about, Briare?
I would say music is probably the gateway to it. I started singing when I was around 7, and I've just always had a dream of like being on stage and just like performing. I wanted to go everywhere, perform my music, and just like really connect with my audience. And so I would have dreams. I would see me on a stage, and like I would see the crowd, the audience, and like have the mic in my hand. And I always thought it was music, but until recently I realized that maybe it wasn't so much about singing, but more so about speaking. And like throughout life, like my peers would be like, "Oh my gosh, you would be a great motivational speaker," or like you're very inspiring and like things of that nature. And I was just like, "Oh, okay, like thanks. I don't know." But also like being the friend or like the sister that my siblings would come to or friends would come to for advice, especially around like emotional topics and looking for like comfort or advice or just like what do you think I should do or like what do you think about this situation? How should I handle it? And I realized that that was the way that I like to help people. I like to help people like feel better, offer a different perspective that can help shift it more into less of oh I'm going through this and more of oh I'm growing through this.
Wow, yeah, that's good. So that's how you realized that that was your call in life.
Yeah. And the more that when I signed up for the boot camp, with just extra, she had a podcast like we were gearing up to for the boot camp, and it was talking about being a lighthouse versus a spotlight. And it reminded me of this moment where I was in church when I was younger, and there was a prophet there, and he said that I was going to be a beacon of hope and be a beacon of light for others. And at the time, I had no idea like what he was talking about or what that even meant. But the more that I started learning about the public speaking world and entering as a thought leader, the more like confirmation it was, like, yes, like this is the right direction, this is where we're going, like you're right where you need to be. And then, so I guess that's more so of like how I realized that public speaking is, or helping people through speaking is where I need to be, or my purpose in life. But I'm also talkative. I used to get in trouble for school for talking all the time.
You did.
And yeah, like they sent me home with yellow and red chatterbox. She was talking too much. Like that was like the main thing. So it's like that was something I learned to like kind of quiet down and be like, okay, like maybe I shouldn't be talking so much. But as like I'm stepping more into this, it's like, well, that was something I didn't need to turn down. I just needed to learn when was the right time to turn it on.
That's good. And one thing I'm learning about, our gifts, you grow into them as well too. Like you can have a speaking gift, like you said, and then you have to learn when was the time to be talking. I say yip yapping, but that I don't mean it in the sense by yip yapping, but speaking, and a time to listen or be quiet. You know what I'm saying? So that's good. Now, you're the oldest of seven children. How did that impact you growing up? What did being the oldest of seven? I'm the oldest of four. What was it like being the oldest of seven children? What did that teach you? What was you able to glean from that experience?
I'm still finding my words and how to express this in a way that um is with grace, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I would say the most that I've learned was just realizing that I needed to set boundaries, and realizing that like it's okay to help other people and still like prioritize your well-being. Because I oftentimes found myself pouring from an empty cup and there was nobody to refill it. And so being the eldest is like I'm being pulled in so many different directions, and oftentimes I didn't have time for me. So I learned you can still show up for people, but it's better to show up for people after pouring filling your cup first.
And that's what you learned from being the oldest of seven children?
Yeah.
Wow.
Family is beautiful. It's in never a dull moment. There's never a dull moment. I love my family. He's so. Well, he's okay though. But I love
He's
my
fine.
family. Yeah. And I love my siblings. And it's a whole lot of love. It's a whole lot of goofiness too. But
Hmm.
there's always gonna be something.
So, how did you come into learning about the HALT method? Okay, what is the HALT? Is it a method? I think I asked you this before. Like, is it a method? How did you learn about HALT? And how can I ask this? What is HALT and how did you learn about it?
So HALT is a series of four questions. It is a method. It's a series of four questions. Are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And the way that it works is you go through and it helps you meet your basic needs. So when you're feeling like burnt out or like overwhelmed, stressed out, and you're having a hard time making decisions because your prefrontal cortex is like shut down, that's where we make all our decisions in our brain, and it helps bring that back online. So how I learned it was through therapy. I've been in therapy like since high school, and my therapist, I remember we had a session. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do. Like, I felt very like overwhelmed, and I knew that I had needs that needed to be met, but I didn't know how to meet them. And she was like, whenever you feel like, "Ah, I don't know what's going on, the world is ending, I want you to halt." And so I was like, okay, but I never like really tried it until recently, like in I want to say May. I think it was May. And I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And I was like, oh my gosh, so angry and just like on my grandma's porch, like sobbing my eyes out. And I was like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And then I remembered, like, oh, like, hold. So I checked in. I was like, hungry for sure. Hadn't eaten anything yet today. Angry. Yeah, I need to eat. Lonely. Needed some support and tired. I needed a way to recharge. So I reached out to my husband. I was like, hey, can we go to Waffle House? Because your girl's hungry. He's like, yes, of course, let's go. So went to Waffle House. For angry, I took some deep breaths and I used plant medicine to help me like regulate my nervous system. For lonely, I reached out to my mom. I called her and I was like, Mom, your girl is going through it. I don't know what's going on. She was like, you're okay. Just do what works for you and take it one moment at a time. I was like, okay. And then for tired, I called my cousin because we hadn't reconnected since I had been back in town yet. So I was like, hey, I'm in town. Like, I would love to see you today and just reconnect and catch up because I need it. I'm low energy and I would love to just like have some time, some girl time. And she was like, okay, cool. So later on, we met up and we went and rode the ferry and we caught up. And by the end of the day, I was recharged. I felt like for the first time, my day could have went completely like sour, but it was the first time that my day, like I had a bad moment and was able to flip it around. And at the end of the day, I believed I was good enough for the first time. And I was like, whoa, like all of this just from a simple check-in. And after years and years of telling myself like, oh, like I'm good enough, I'm good enough, I'm good enough, and not believing it in my body, like for that to be at the end of the day, I'm getting out the shower and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm good enough. Yes, let's go. And believe it in my core was like the hugest shift I've ever like experienced. And I was like, I have to like share this with other people because I know there are other people in a dark time or in a dark space. And I was like, this helped me come out of it. And then continuously doing it consistently, like just seeing everything continuing to shift in my inner world, I was like, oh yeah, people need to know about this.
Right. That's awesome. And I see the heart method as self care. It's literally pouring into yourself, right?
Yeah.
What other ways do you find that um, pours into you? What other things that you do and maybe your day to day life that you can say, I use this to pour back into me? What are some of those things?
I would say movement for sure. My preferred is yoga, meditation as well, and journaling and affirmations.
What was the
Are all
last
the
thing
things
you
that I do.
said?
Journaling and affirmations.
Okay. Yeah. Everything you mentioned definitely are, and we can sum up pouring into you as self care, and all those are great self care practices. I remember asking you about affirmations, and how did you begin doing affirmations? Um, how has affirmations changed your life for the better? Like that practice of affirming yourself, how has that changed your life for the better?
Affirmations have helped me rewire my brain in a sense, you could say. Um, they help me to anchor into a new reality. I think oftentimes we don't realize the thoughts that we have on loop and the things that we're saying to ourselves really impact our reality, our perspective on ourselves, and how we show up and behave in the world. And so having affirmations like the universe takes care of me, or I am divinely protected, or I am good enough allows me to anchor into that and oppose the opposites of those truths. Especially when I feel myself getting overwhelmed and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this, I have to figure this out, or I'm just feeling like unsafe. It's like, okay, I'm divinely protected, and it just helps me shift out of fear. Helps me shift out of fear and like to stand rooted in truth.
That's true. Affirmations are powerful, but you have to be consistent. I
Yes.
mean, if you just want to say one sentence here and there, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. I'm so on affirmations. I downloaded a counter on my phone, and the goal is to do like 100 affirmations of a particular affirmation that I really want to see come to fruition
Hmm.
throughout the day. So as long as I get that 100 in, I'm good. I met my goal. But it takes like it might not be that many times a person would affirm something throughout the day, but that's just
Yeah.
how serious I take affirmations. Like I've seen the life I'm living now was manifested, and it's like,
Yeah.
can you say the same about, because affirmations are a way to manifest, right? Like
Go
you
ahead.
can actually manifest something into your reality just from consistently affirming it, because it's like eventually you'll begin to believe it. With me,
Hmm.
I learned that a lot of the affirmations I saw as being far fetched, or like inwardly I didn't really believe them, but I kept saying them, and eventually it's like they come to life inside of you. Would you say that the life that you're living now is the life that you were able to um, purposely manifest, like intentionally manifest, and you look up and you're like, wow, I remember I wrote about this. Like you might have scripted it, you might have affirmed it, visualized it. Do you see that being true for you today?
I do. I definitely would say that is true. I also like in terms of manifesting and affirmations, I also pair it with like a visual board, or like a vision board, but I like to call it an action board because it inspires action for me
That's
at least.
awesome. Yeah.
And so I even like once we were in the boot camp, I did a vision board for public speaking, and I put certain affirmations up there, and I also put like a mic up there, and then I put like my goals, but I put them as if like they've already happened. And
Mm-hmm.
so like one of them up there is like, oh, I booked my first gig. And then shortly after that, I got booked. Like I received the email for my first podcast interview, invitation to speak, and I was like, "Ah." So I definitely like agree. Like yes, it definitely does work, but I think it's also paired with inspired action.
Right. That's awesome. So I do have a question about um let's get into cannabis. This question been ringing in my spirit, so I might as well just address the elephant in the room internally, because don't nobody know that this is elephant in the room for me. Okay, this is my take on cannabis. I
Okay.
believe it is a herb. It is a medicinal drug. I just
Yeah.
I have something against smoking it, because I feel like when you're ingesting smoke into your lungs, it's not healthy for the lungs, and that's why we
Mm.
cough, because it's expelling something from our lungs that shouldn't be there. But it's not to judge anybody. This is just why I stopped smoking. One reason. But you can use it recreationally. But
Mhm.
like one of my oracles, from my oracle deck, speaks about um, medicine. It's called Medicine Journey, and artists would, you know, get high, smoke, to tap into their creativity.
Mhm.
It's just mushrooms. All these things are like medicinal, right?
Yeah.
And tell me how one goes from recreational use with stuff like that, or not safe with it, or could be reckless or addictive, to a more conscious, healthy, purposeful way of consuming this herb, cannabis. How does it benefit you as well? Like, what are some of you said it regulates your nervous system. That's one thing I remember you said, but let's speak about this conscious cannabis consumption for a second.
Right. So your question, I want to make sure I understand, is how can we move from consuming cannabis, um, how can we shift from abusing it to using it with intention?
Or not just abusing it, because I wouldn't call it abusing it if you just want to get high. I'll say
True.
abuse is like if you all day, every day, you can't
Just
function,
overusing.
you robbing people to get. I'm talking about like how do you go from just socially or recreationally doing it to being more conscious with it and making it
Okay.
more purposeful and being used for your highest good type of thing, where you may be able to create, or how do you go about doing something like that for someone?
I think the first step would be to check in. So like before, when you notice that um desire to consume cannabis and just checking in and saying, okay, like, do I want to use cannabis for fun? Is this just like an escape? Or is this like,
Oh,
how am I feeling? Am I overwhelmed or am I running from something? Am I trying to like avoid something and I'm using it to escape? Or am I using it to help me face whatever it is that's coming up and to be able to expand my capacity to be able to hold it and be able to look at it and say, okay, yes, I'm feeling overwhelmed. This is what's overwhelming me. Now I can come up with an action plan to be able to handle it better or address the situation fully and not just like brush it under the rug.
that's good. I love the way you said, check in with yourself and say, am I, wanting to do this to escape? Um, ask yourself those questions. And have you been able to use it as a way to create as well? Like, do you get ideas that you actually bring into fruition from, being high and you're like, oh my gosh, this is an excellent idea. You have.
Yes, I have, and as an entrepreneur, like honestly, it's probably one of my main tools, not my main tools, but it's definitely contributed to like where I'm at today. Because when you're regulated, you have like more capacity to be able to execute your creative ideas. And so there are like times where I'm like stressing, I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do? I want to do this, but I don't know how to do it. And then like, you know what? Let me just relax for a moment. Let me take a couple deep breaths. Let me consume some cannabis, and then I come back. And once I'm more centered, it's like, okay, now my ideas are starting to flow in. I'm like, okay, now I know what steps I need to take. Like, for instance, I'm working on setting up a solo panel in my hometown that I can do, and the goal is to go live, and that's to be in 2 weeks. But I was like, okay, like it's just been weighing heavy on my heart. So I was like, okay, let me just like do it, let me figure it out. And it wasn't even that hard once I like took a moment to just like woosah. And I was like,
Right.
oh, this is actually like super easy. But a lot of my ideas, like I'm able to execute. I think it kind of like I view cannabis as a magnifying glass. So whatever you got going on, whatever is there, it's just gonna make it 10 times like more apparent. And so for me, it's like, okay, like yes, it helps me flow creatively and like execute my ideas, but it's also just highlighting what's already there.
Wow. I love the way you explain things. Um, let's get into what is a sacred self care guide? What is that? How does someone know they need the services of a sacred self care guide? And while you're at it, an emotional wellness mentor. How would someone say, I need this, like, or um, will it be just them going to like your website and seeing what, when you go into depth about, okay, this is what I help others with or not, but how would someone know or, come to the realization that this is a service that they would need for themselves?
So I'm gonna start with sacred self-care. So sacred self-care to be sacred is to do something with intention. And self-care is like more than just the face mask and the bubble baths and like all the surface level self-care trends. And so me as a sacred self-care guide, my goal is to set up systems, help people set up systems that are practical and embody self-care so that way they can show up fully in their lives as their best selves. So um it's less of like just okay, go do a face mask and make sure you get your favorite coffee from Starbucks or something, but more like, okay, like how are you eating? How are you sleeping? Are you like getting outside? Are you moving your body? Are you connecting with your community? Are you taking time for yourself? And just like coming up with ways where we can stack that into your daily life. It doesn't have to be an entirely separate like activity. It's just finding ways to incorporate it in your daily life. That way, you're still doing all your day-to-day things, but you're making sure that you're taking care of yourself through it. So that would be the sacred self-care.
Mhm.
The emotional wellness is really just checking in and finding ways to allow yourself to hold your emotions and allow them to pass through freely. So I think a lot of people are used to just like bottling them up, or we get frustrated when we're experiencing negative emotions, especially if we don't know why, and it's harder for us to release them. And so I really just want to hold a space where people can vent and allow themselves to feel and release so that way they can integrate and be able to move forward.
Wow, that's powerful. When you were explaining the sacred self-care guide, it reminded me of what I would do as a self-love coach, because self-love and self-care is the same thing pretty much. So that definitely resonated with me. And why is it
Mhm.
important that why is it important that we have a guide or a mentor? Like, what are the benefits of having the services of a guide or a mentor? Like, because you can very well go about these practices on your own. And I'm thinking about it same as having a personal trainer. Why is it such a benefit to have a guide or a mentor in your corner with you while you're going through these types of transformations within yourself?
So I'd say it's important to have someone on the outside because oftentimes they're able to point out like, hey, you got a stain on your shirt. And just being able to point something out as simple as that is like really helpful because oftentimes like we don't know what's going on. We don't know how we're showing up or how we're reflecting to others or like what's really going on. Or sometimes we do know what's going on, but we don't know how to like address it. And so having a mentor or having a guide or just a safe person that you trust to be able to come and pour into you, like just allows you to have more of a capacity and to be able to just improve yourself and make sure you're on the right track and be able to like, but it's important to make sure that it's someone that wants the same things that you want for yourself if those things are good for your holistic health and well-being, of course. But
Yeah.
that's what I would say.
Okay, that's good. Um, let's get into the topic of burnout real quick. And we'll be wrapping this up shortly. What does burnout look like for someone? Um, I know we can burn out. Okay. What are some of the ways that we can burn out? And what does burnout look like? How can someone know, like, oh my gosh, I'm burnt out and I need some help or recovery, whatever the case may be? What are signs of burnout? How do we burn out? Can you answer that for me, please?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with how we burn out. So we burn out through, oftentimes it's through pushing through when we know that we're hitting our limit.
Mm,
And I think oftentimes, I know for me, I was taught like, like you gotta show up, you gotta do what you gotta do to take care of it. If you don't feel good, like you don't got a fever, then you're good. Like keep going, keep pushing through, even though your body is screaming at you like, I need a break, I need some help, like I just need a moment to relax, to chill out, and pushing past that and keep going. It's like you start to neglect yourself and you start to abandon yourself. And of course it's not intentional because you just gotta push through, you just gotta keep going. But oftentimes that is the first sign that you're about to burn out or you're getting like past your limit. Um, Another sign would be neglecting yourself, not taking care of yourself fully, or your responsibilities. And I think those would be the main like signs I would say.
okay.
What was the other part of the question?
Um, what does it look like? But what does it look like when someone is at that point of burnout? You know what I'm
When they're
saying?
at that point.
Signs.
So they might isolate, stay to themselves. They may not, they may just be doom scrolling on their phones a lot and just like it's a lot of just like closing up, a lot of closing up, a lot of like retracting. Some people will reach out. It depends on the person really, but work performance might like decrease. Um, Stress levels are high. It may look like depression.
Mm,
I think that's like the biggest thing. I feel like a lot of people like start to get to like, oh, I'm just depressed, but like really it's burnout and it's high stress levels and those two things not being met with care, and then it starts to look like depression and it looks like not taking care of yourself, not showing up when you're supposed to be or need to be, not being able to take care of your responsibilities and like doing all the things that needs to be done, like grocery shopping or walking your dog or like whatever it may be.
right.
So, but I feel like the conversation of like, oh, I'm depressed is so mainstream in a sense these days that everybody just jumps to depression being the culprit.
Right.
So, I would say if you're feeling depressed, then maybe take a look at your self-care and see like what's going on there and starting there to like, because I found that once I started implementing the whole method like consistently through my like day-to-day routines, I was like, oh, maybe it wasn't depression, maybe it was just burnout and self-neglect because those things started to fade away.
That's what I'm saying. Like a daily self care or self love practice, it can heal so much within a person, right? And then it also, from what I've seen in my own personal life, like you were saying, it may not even be depression. It could be just that I need to address some of these things within myself. But I noticed that as I was healing internally, stuff was just falling off my life that was like hindering me, or a weight I was carrying, or some type of vice. It fell off. Like it wasn't even a concern of mine anymore because I was addressing all the issues, the lack that I was experiencing on the inside from my self love practices. And you don't have to put your focus in on, I got to stop drinking all day, every day. I got to stop gambling, or I got to stop womanizing or being promiscuous. It's like, just love yourself or care for yourself. And a lot of that stuff would just go away. It won't even be an issue no more, Um, Tell me about gratitude. I want to know, like, what part does gratitude play in your life every day, and why what's the importance of gratitude? I love gratitude. It's just, a daily practice. So tell me, why is gratitude important, and how has it shown up in your life for you, like the power of gratitude?
I love gratitude. This is a great question. Gratitude is important because our brains are wired for survival. And so our brains are constantly looking for all the things that are bad, wrong, or just not what we want and focuses on that. So gratitude allows us to shift into more of, oh, like I am provided for, or I am safe, or I have everything that I need. And once you can focus on those things, you can access joy. And so gratitude for me, it really helps me like root into the presence. And it also helps me like root into abundance because gratitude, in a sense, is abundance.
Yes, it is. It is. Yes.
So even like even earlier today, like, I'm not gonna lie, my mood was like low, and I was like, man, like, what's going on? And went outside, I sat on the porch, and I was like, you know what? Let's practice some gratitude. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for my outfit. I look cute today. And
Yes, you
I was like,
do.
I'm grateful for the opportunity that I have to speak on the Divine Frequency podcast with Amira. I'm so excited to be on the podcast, and I'm grateful for the opportunity because it's a space where I can just show up and be a light. And so after I had that practice, I was like, I felt a lot better. And I was like, everything may not be exactly how I want it to be, but there are things that are going right in my life, and I'm grateful to have those. So I think it's really important when to practice gratitude, especially when you're calling in abundance and you're calling in joy and peace. Like you have to make space for them to come and be with you.
Wow. You you know what I could see when you was talking? I could see you, I don't know, maybe like at a hosting a retreat or something. It's like I saw you with a lot of women around you, and you guys just in this comfy space. Is real natural, maybe plants around, and you just speaking, and it's like women just around you listening. I saw that when you was talking. You just have this spirit about you that's very, it just feels safe and comfortable. I could talk to Briare. I could tell her, and you are so well spoken, so that's a plus because you're able to relate to so many different people with your words, and you are so gifted in that. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
Um, one more question. What made you lock your hair? What because I see you have locks. I call them locks. I don't know if you refer to them as dreadlocks, but what made
Oh,
you
locks.
transition from, I don't know, how did you wear your hair before you locked it? Did you have like a relaxer, or what made you want to go on start a lock journey?
So before I locked my hair, I was just like a loose. I let my hair be like in my fro, but I had like cut my hair, so I had like my hair was shorter. And I was just growing it back out, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my hair. But what made me lock it, this is actually my second set. My first set, I cut them off. I was like, I had got sick, and I was just like, you know what? I'm over it. And I just took them out and then cut my hair. But we're here now. Um, what made me like it was just the ease, like the care of locks. I'm a like get out of bed, brush my teeth, wash my face, get dressed and go. I don't really like do my hair too much or often. And so I was like, if I lock my hair, it'll be easier maintenance. Like I wouldn't have to worry about it too much. Just like moisturize it and we're good to go. Moisturize
Right.
it, good to go. Wash it, retwist here and there. Is like the maintenance of it is what like pulled me in. But then I also started having, when I was thinking about it, a lot of my family started to be like, "Oh my God, you look so good with locks. You should lock your hair." And I was like, "Y'all in my head? Like, what is this?" So I was sitting on the couch one day with my dog after work, and I was just like, "Okay, I'm locking," and I just started twisting it and left them in, and here we are, almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in October.
Wow. Congratulations. I mean, my locks has, how, let me ask you, how has wearing locks changed your perspective on you, your life? Has it changed the idea of beauty for you? What has having locks done for you? Like as far as like your awareness of yourself or others or life period. What lessons have you learned? Any lessons from having locks?
I have. I don't think about them too often, but I think it started to become apparent to me when my locks dropped. And I was like, oh my gosh, my locks dropped. But that like not coincidentally, but coincidentally happened like once I started stepping more into myself and getting comfortable like in who I am and being more present in my own presence. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I love my locks. But I noticed that like beforehand, like when I first started, oh my gosh, like the ugly face. I was like, oh my God, like no, my hair is
I never
crazy.
had an ugly face. I just never had an ugly face.
Yeah, I was like, I just, I noticed that there are certain moments, like when I need a retwist, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't look at me and keep my bonnet on. And I realized like those moments have helped me to shift and be like, okay, like even when I'm not at my best, still acknowledging my beauty and not downplaying it and not just like throwing it out the window and knowing that beauty isn't just like physical appearance or like how my hair is, but it's within. And so locks have like shifted how I view myself internally. Still a work in progress,
Yeah.
but there's definitely like been moments where I can appreciate myself even on my rough days. Yeah. What have you learned from your locks? I want to know.
What'd you say?
What have you learned from your locks? Your
Oh
love
my
journey.
gosh. Patience for one.
Oh yeah.
Um, I also learned that I'm beautiful. Period. Like my whole transition going from wearing long lashes, false lashes every day. I couldn't go to the store to get my beer. Just to the corner store to get my brew without my lashes on. You know, having to wear wigs or weaves or some type of false hair on my head, you know, and God literally, and it started about 7 years ago, said, stop wearing the weave, stop wearing the false lashes. I want you no makeup until you feel good about yourself.
Mm,
Yourself, like by yourself. You don't need no assistance with your beauty. And when you start appreciating yourself for you and your beauty, then moderately you can start wearing makeup again. And but it was no more relaxers from that point. And I wore my natural hair. I started styling my natural hair. And locks was like the next step from where I was. I went from still having long. It was about shoulder length,
mm,
and then I just got to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna just cut it off. You know, I've worn short cuts before, boy cuts and all that, right? But during
yeah.
this phase of where I saw the transition happening, it was like I cut it down to a mini afro. I can't remember the term they use for the little mini afros. And I just let it grow out from there. And I remember I got one more set of like micro braids,
Mm,
but I always saw myself a lot, you know? And I'm like, it was like a vision I would have of myself, like in my 50s or something, and I would have like these long locks down my back. But it taught me how to embrace my own natural beauty and it just go along with, and I was still wearing lashes when I first locked, and I needed I needed them. But now it's like I don't even want to wear lashes, you know, and I started wearing them about, it's been a while. It's been, I want to say almost a year I've been wearing lashes, but it has definitely taught me patience to embrace my natural beauty. It taught me that beauty is from the inside. Not, you know, of course you want to look neat, you want to look presentable, you know.
yeah.
But when you have locks, it's like you having an excuse just to be. You can just be and you're fine, you know. Like, hey, I didn't do anything to him today. I just did like this and went off, you know, went for my errands, and you good,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
My
I
favorite
love
part.
that, the convenience of it and stuff. So yeah, so I would say patience, accepting my natural beauty, and I don't know. It's just like I'm gonna be honest with you. it seemed like I'm a little more spiritual. I don't know if I've just grown spiritually from, the years of what I'll be 5 years next May. So I don't know if it's just that or if my locks has helped me in some type of way tune in or tap in more. I don't know. I've never looked into it. I don't know if anybody else felt that way. What about you? Or you
Now
think you
that you
know?
say it, no, now that you say it, I'm like, wait, like I feel like I have grown more spiritually as well since I've locked my hair. I think whoa, that's a study. That needs to be a science study case.
I would like that's a good idea. Um,
Yeah.
what message? Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. I know you got to get back to Little Journey, but what message do you have for anyone who may come across this podcast and anything on your heart you would like to share, a message you may want to give to someone, a word of advice? What's the closing remarks that you have for now?
My closing remarks would be make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Prioritize your needs and know that it's not selfish. It would be selfish of you to continue to put everyone else before yourself because you're pouring from an empty cup. And that is doing more damage than good. So choose you, love you, take care of yourself. And if you ever need anything, my DMs are open and just reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out when you need help.
Yes, that's true. And if anyone watches this podcast episode and makes it to the end, I would encourage you to reach out to Briare. She's such a welcoming, warm, um, I really, you're just such a unique soul. It's just like, wow, I'm 46 and I feel like I could come to you. I don't know if I told you this before or not. Like, I feel like I could come to you like, Briere, can you help me with this or that? You're just a wise soul. You are so welcoming, inviting, like friendly. I sense that you're non-judgmental, and I think a lot of us be afraid of being judged too, whether we want to admit it or not. And that sometimes hold us back from reaching out for help or assistance. But what's your website again? Is heavily
Heavenlyflow.universe.
yeah.
I
So
can, let me
guys,
put
reach
the,
out to Briere, please. Go to her website. She has a lot to offer on her website. And Briere, I just want to thank you for your time today. I appreciate you showing up for me and really showing up for yourself too. We're all connected, interconnected. So I appreciate you. I wish you well in all of your endeavors. Please keep in touch. Don't forget about me. And
I won't. I will never, I
because
actually
I will
have a
be in
feeling.
touch with you. No,
Yes, I will be in touch with you.
I wish you well on everything that you have going on, my love. Like, you are truly a lighthouse. I will say that. And
Thank
with
you.
that, to everyone's watching, I love you. And remember to let your light shine because you are divine. All right, till next time. Bye.
Bye.